Mr. King is recognized.
I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will report the amendment.
Page 21, line 7, strike the quotation mark and following period. Page 21.
I ask unanimous consent that the amendment be considered as read. Without objection, so order. The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an amendment that addresses the issue of the organization that's known collectively as ACORN, and it's been solidly reported with documented evidence underneath that and admitted by ACORN that they are a myriad of organizations. I name ACORN, but also 173 other organizations that are affiliated with ACORN, and I'm not able to gather them all together because ACORN has become a spider web of organizations and affiliations that is insidious in its involvement in this country. They have received at least $53 million in taxpayers' money, and now, because of some actions of this Congress, may be eligible into categories of $8.5 billion altogether. And this is an amendment that precludes ACORN from being a beneficiary of this program. And I recognize that it doesn't specify organizations, but neither can we define the organization called ACORN because it is so broad and so insidious. And so my interest is that we are watching our election process be corrupted. We're watching many parts of our business world feel this reach that comes. And I've been calling for months now for an investigation of ACORN, a congressional investigation of ACORN, for a Department of Justice investigation of ACORN. We do have, I think, a growing groundswell of interested Americans that are pulling information together and aggregating it. But I am committed, as many members of the now majority party were committed to plugging into our legislation the Davis-Bacon wage scale, which I clearly object to, into a piece of legislation after piece of legislation. I'm committed to no longer allowing any federal funds from getting into ACORN's coffers until such time as there is a completed investigation, a forensic analysis, and we have the confidence the parts that may remain at the end of that investigation are the legitimate components that can actually help and enhance the American economy and the American society. And so this is an amendment that simply states that ACORN and its affiliates will not be a beneficiary of this program. And I would yield, gentlelady.
If it's your knowledge that ACORN has received any SBIR grant?
That's not to my knowledge.
Okay.
It's to my endeavor that they not receive.
Thank you for yielding.
And I would just simply urge the adoption of this amendment, and I would yield back the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes herself for the purpose of opposing this amendment. Mr. King, I understand that there are issues with some members regarding ACORN, but ACORN is a housing group. This is not the vehicle for anyone to go after ACORN participating on the resources from the federal government. This is the Small Business Committee. So to me, there's no point to offer an amendment to prohibit a group that is ineligible to participate under the SBIR or STTR program. To my knowledge, ACORN is not in the business of research and technology. They are a housing group. So for that reason alone, I oppose this amendment. I consider this is not the place. That amendment should be brought up in the Housing Subcommittee, Financial Services. Any member who seeks recognition? Mr. Aiken.
I would just yield time to the gentleman from Iowa so he could respond.
I thank the gentleman from Missouri for yielding, and I agree that ACORN is a housing group, but they're much, much more than a housing group. They're the organization that has admitted to producing over 400,000 fraudulent voter registration forms. They're an organization that's been announced within the last couple of days that it's their endeavor to broaden their reach. And broaden their reach at least implies into every aspect of American life where they can have some type of political influence. They are signed on as a partner for the United States Census, where we are sitting in a position now where we're the great risk of America's elections being undermined now may be transferred into the question of legitimacy of the United States Census. I don't know all of the places where ACORN reaches, and I don't think we can know that either. I want to assure that we're not funding an organization that's undermining our freedoms, and I think we need to put that barker in place at every single spot that we can. And so I urge adoption of my amendment, and I would yield back to the gentleman from
Would you
Missouri.
yield?
I yield back my time.
Okay. Let me just respond to the gentleman's assertion that census or voter registration has anything to do with the SBIR program or the STTR program, and for you to say that you don't know if they do that, I guess that any member who intends to offer an amendment will do the research to determine whether or not the amendment is germane to the issue or the subject at hand. If there is any other member who seeks to be recognized, Mr. Schuler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the third year I've been on the committee, and I think we finally got into partisan politics on the committee, and I think that's very unfortunate. When the fact of the matter is that small businesses are trying to continue to grow, and to put partisanship in this is kind of embarrassing into this committee, and I just don't think it's a time and place for that. There's other committees that can be doing that, but Madam Chair, I continue to thank you for your leadership, and Ranking Member Graves, obviously in the opening statement, talked about working together and to show up with amendments like this. Got all respect in the world for Mr. King, but that's not the way we do things on this committee. I yield back.
Are there any other member who wish to be recognized?
Yes, Madam.
On this amendment, Mr. Schroeder.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, I agree. I put myself in the camp with Congressman Schuler that I enjoy the bipartisan nature of this committee, but I guess I'd make a motion to table this amendment because it's come in so late, and give ourselves due consideration to look at it thoroughly and give me time to develop a list of right-wing extremist organizations that might also be prohibited organizations under this amendment.
Any other member? Ms. Kilpatrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I, too, appreciate the bipartisan work on this committee. Having gotten this amendment just a few minutes ago and reading through it, I really don't have enough information to vote intelligently on it. And I just want to point out some of the organizations that are in this list. For instance, there's Citizens Consulting, Inc., Flagstaff Broadcast Foundation, the Hospitality, Hotel, and Restaurant Organization Council, the Neighbors of Althea Ray, the Neighbors of Maria Torres, the Neighbors of Ted Thomas. I don't know who those folks are. I surely would hope that should an amendment ever come before this committee that included the Neighbors of Ann Kirkpatrick, that we would look at that and hear from them before we voted. So I'm opposed to it. Thank you.